What's up, guys? On the heels of the OHP sucks for powerlifting video, where I said that OHP is a great movement, and I agreed with 90% of what Mr. Bromley had to say. Everybody focused on that 10% of where it's not, which is, it's how it goes, honestly. Again, I appreciate everybody's feedback, whether we were in agreement or disagreement, even though you're wrong. And anything in between. That's for funnies, haha. There's nuance to everything, of course. Presentation tends to be black and white. Anyway, but I was asked to make a video about, well, what is good for bench press if OHP isn't good for bench press. And this one, I'm going to give you like my top 5 variations of what I've done. This is not like what I think in theory would be the best. That would be a whole nother video. This is like experience. Y'all have seen my bench. This is what I've done. So number one, it's bench press. Obviously, if you want to get better at something, you do the something. Specificity is number one. Will always be number one. So if you want to get good at bench press, you need to be bench pressing. That should go without saying. And you can program it in a variety of ways, even for hypertrophy. The best hypertrophy movement for assisting your bench press is still bench press. You're literally targeting the exact same muscles you're using for your competition movement. So it would still be number one there in a hypertrophy, whether you're training it as a skill, for strength, power, endurance, all of the above, any of those modalities. Bench press is always going to be number one to help your bench press. That's pretty cut and dry. Y'all already know what I'm going to say for number 2, right?
Ring push-ups are the best thing that I've added to my program in a long time. So now
Larson Press. Again, this is not suggesting for everybody this is going to be your second best movement or second, key movement. This is what I've literally done. It's very specific, of course, very much like bench press. You can still set up your arch. You're not going to have as much of an arch, and obviously you're going to be eliminating your leg drive out of it, and isolating the top. So you're going to make it a little bit harder. Doing a harder variant of something typically is going to carry over pretty well, assuming they're relatively close in nature. You're not going to throw off your stroke a whole lot of your bench, so you're not really going to lose much, if any, skill development. Like if you were to completely abandon your bench for a training block or two and for Larson presses, obviously the leg drive part will have to come back, but as far as like your upper body stroke and movement, going to be a little bit more range of motion, but not a very profound amount. Kind of just enough that hair of the dog. So it's good in that sense. And when you start to get really strong across all your lifts, it can be good for fatigue management as well. I've got a really tight bench press setup, and as I get older, that wears on me even more. So using the Larson press takes some of that pressure off of my lower back and my hamstrings when I'm doing Larson press instead of bench press, and saves that fatigue for the other movements. Third, close grip. And I'm just going to put this in like with bench press and Larson press and make it one thing. Just close grip. Triceps. Prime move in your bench press. More triceps, more better. Big strong triceps are always going to benefit your bench press. Again, making the movement harder while still saying relatively specific. It is going to change your stroke a little bit, but it's very, very similar movement. It's going to make your range of motion larger again. Put a little more emphasis on your triceps. Build some of that lockout power a little bit more. Again, fantastic. This is, again, something that you can use in hypertrophy blocks. You can use this. You can treat this like a bench press and, strength, power, peak it if that's something you choose to do. But your close grip variants get stronger. Your actual bench press is going to be helped by virtue of that. Pin press. I put this as number 4. I've only recently started using it. This last meet prep was kind of the first real test of it. It seems like it works well. I like to do mine like a dead pin press, like bring it down to the pins and then, go beyond a 5 count to get rid of that stretch reflex. This is really going to help you build power. I put it really close to my chest. I've not played with different heights yet. I kind of worry sometimes if, at what height you're putting it at, if you're just going to create a different sticking point by virtue of that. But generally speaking, and this goes with, some of the other movements as well, wherever your perceived sticking point is, where the bar stops moving and you think that's your sticking point, it's really a couple inches lower. So that's where, I would set it up. And honestly, if you've never done pin presses before, I would set them as close to the chest as possible. I think it's going to be better to have that base of the movement built with the largest range of motion first, and after that you can start kind of toying with trying to dial in where your sticking point may or may not be, and messing with the heights of the pin press itself. But great for just building brutal raw power off of whatever point you sit it at, especially when you hold it down there and you completely eliminate that stretch reflex and just build brutal dead strength off of wherever it's starting. This is only going to enhance what you can do with that stretch reflex. And a lot of times wherever you set the pin, like, you're starting off your chest, so everywhere that bar is off your chest, you're going through that range with momentum already created. With the pins, if you set it a little bit off your chest, now you're starting that range with 0 momentum. Your body's not used to that. If you've not been doing pin presses, it's always easier coming through that range because you're coming through it already moving. So being at that range from a dead stop is going to be a totally different animal, and hopefully help you build even more power, strength, muscle through that range itself. And last but not least, I'm going to kind of lump these in together, but I'm going to throw in face pulls and dumbbell hammer curls. And this is for maintenance, for preventative maintenance. Motion is lotion. This is oiling your joints, so to speak. I've never really looked at trying to progress these or make these stronger or anything. Like, I will use comically small weights, drop sets, extremely high reps for both of these. And again, just facilitating motion and blood flow through the shoulders, through the elbows. I've benched over 500 pounds more times than I know at this point. I've never had shoulder issues from benching. Shout out to the tanning salon light bulbs. If you know, you know. And I've never had elbow issues. And I attribute this a lot of this to doing these high rep face pulls and high rep hammer curls at the end of my bench sessions. So something to keep in mind, even with some other, seated row variants or curl variants, or, like triceps ropes, push downs, things like that. Anything that gets these joints in motion in high reps without a lot of strain can be beneficial. And again, I've never had shoulder or elbow issues from benching, and I've been doing this for a long time. So there you guys go. Peace.